Now, you did mention planetary magic, and I must admit that's not one of my areas that I'm particularly good with. I do look things up, but how would you incorporate the planets? You said you work them in with your daily witchcraft. How can you give us examples of how you'd work with the planetary magic?
It's something that I was trained in. So the coven that I was initiated into was a very traditional kind of. It had traditional ways of working, and taught us to go and look at the classical methods and learn them, and read the grimoires and understand how they work. So a good part of my pre-initiatory training was reading the grimoires, and if you're reading grimoires, then you need to understand the pre-modern planetary magic that underpins them. If you ask me about modern planetary magic, so if you start talking about Uranus and Pluto and all of that, I just look blank. It was very classical, as in the pre-modern 7 planets, even though we know some of them aren't planets, but this was the way it goes. And it became, I think, because I was so absorbed in it in my pre-initiation training, and it just kind of stuck with me. It's really weird. And I had students that I taught afterwards who would be like, but it's not true. How can you work with a magical system that's not true? We know that the sun isn't a planet. We know that the moon isn't a planet. How does that work? But what I love is this link that it gives us. If we want the ancient, what planetary magic gives us is this unbroken link all the way back to ancient Babylon, 4000 BCE, when our magical ancestors start looking up at the heavens with the naked eye and seeing what's going on, and seeing this, strange phenomenon that you have the 2 luminaries. So you've got the sun and the moon that give light, and then you have what they refer to as the 5 wandering stars that would move across the heavens and not stay in a constellation. They would be in different places at different times. So I love this link it gives us, that follows through ancient Babylon to ancient Egypt to ancient Greece and Rome, and all the way through to to the modern era, really. And I use it in so many ways because it categorizes herbs and stones and oils to different planetary associations. It gives you numbers to work with if you want to, if you're a numerologist, you've got numbers to work with. So every spell crafting I ever do inevitably always has the pre-modern planetary system at its heart, whatever I'm doing. So I might be thinking, okay, I want to do a spell for, say you want to do a spell for bringing a book to successful fruition, then, you've got the planets that would work in that way. So you could bring Mercury in to give you the communication. You could have the sun to sort of bring it to a successful outcome. And right down to one of the best things I ever learned from one of my students, when she was doing the curriculum, the pre-initiation curriculum, was that she said to me, "Oh, I found a really good way to work with the planets. I have planetary underwear. So depending on what day of the week it is, I will be wearing the appropriate planetary underwear." And I have to confess, that was the best thing I ever learned from a student. I had to kind of do it with you.
I can see how that would work.
So it's Wednesday, okay, she's wearing orange underwear. It's Thursday, she's wearing purple, So I just thought that was such a good way of
Brilliant.
Bringing a new spin on it.
That is, I do bring the planet. That's how I work with the planets, is in my spell working. I do bring in like that, and I'm not going to forget the underwear now. Each time I work a spell, I'm going to have to check the underwear. Yeah,
exactly. Brilliant. Sales of orange pants are now going to
hey,
take off.
It all works. I love color magic too, so that works for me.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's layers, though, isn't it? It is bringing in those layers to the magic,
absolutely.
So it works.
Yeah.
And
I think that
it's all energy.
Absolutely, and I think the most effective spell crafting that I've encountered is always when you're layering.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the meaning is coming in at all the different levels. It's not just light a candle and it's done. It's a kind of, okay, let's work out all the ways that we can embody this practice. And I guess,
Clever.
yeah, it does.